Welcome everyone back to the Norfolk Cottage Garden Kitchen, where we are this afternoon going to be producing some sourdough pizzas. And we have in front of you here our standard pizza dough or bread dough mix. This is sourdough that we've made in our KitchenAid. It's been kneaded in the KitchenAid and then left to rise, and then we've just knocked this back and we've now left with this absolutely gorgeous standard white floured sourdough. And if you want the recipe for this, there is a separate video where we run through that. This is approximately 800 grams of flour made with our own starter, and that's probably going to be sufficient to make upwards of 4 pizzas. Now obviously on this demo we're just going to make a single pizza, so the excess dough is going to be placed in this proving basket to make a sourdough loaf. So what we've done is just taken about a quarter of the dough from the quantity that we've made here, and we're just going to knead this as you would with a normal bread mix on a well floured breadboard, and you just want to work this till you've got a really good consistency on the dough and it forms a nice formed ball. Now I'm going to do the same with the main dough here, and then that, as soon as we're happy with it, and it's very nearly ready this, because we have given it quite a good kneading in the KitchenAid before we remove this, so a lot of the working ready is already done. I'm quite happy with that. We've got a nice floured proving basket here, and we're just going to pop that straight in and cover it to rise, and when that's ready that will go straight into the oven. Now with the pizza dough, you really don't want that to go on proving any further. We're not trying to make a thick based or dough-like based or bread-like base. We really want a lovely thin and crispy pizza base with all that lovely sourdough flavour. So what we want to do with this is get it ready and shaped up into our pizza base, and we're going to make a rectangular pizza base here. So what we're going to do is prep that onto a piece of baking parchment, which will allow us to get the size and shape we want, and then with the pizza paddle we'll be able to transfer the whole thing, including the baking parchment, directly onto the floor of the AGA to cook, and that will give you that delicious thin and crispy pizza base that everybody craves in a sourdough pizza. Okay, so I've started to work this dough out. I'm using a wooden rolling pin, and we're just on a lovely floured piece of parchment. You can see if you start to get any sticking, then just a little bit more flour, and you really want to get this so it is as thin as it can possibly be, which is why you don't want to pick too big a piece of dough, because when you look at the size of this, it's going to make a very large AGA oven size pizza, and it's going to be a little tricky to get this transferred into the AGA without losing all your toppings if you overload it. Just to show you the thinness that we're working on, you can almost see my fingers under there. You've got this beautiful elastic dough, and I'm just going to continue working that out so it almost fills this piece of parchment. And when you've done that, you're ready to go. So what we need to do now is get our toppings ready as quickly as we can, get this coated up with the toppings, and then as soon as we can, straight into the bottom of your roasting AGA floor, and that will crisp up beautifully, as we'll show you in just a few minutes. Now when it comes to AGA sauces or toppings, the base sauces, I always think it's best if you can make it yourself, and we're going to do that just now. It's very quick to do. Some olive oil or rapeseed oil into your frying pan, and finely chopped onion, and then we're just going to work that in the pan and soften these onions for about a minute and a half. After about a minute and a half, my onions are softening really nicely. You can see they're starting to go translucent. We don't want these to brown off too much, so what I'm going to do, we've got 2 freshly chopped fine tomatoes. I will cool the pan slightly, and we start cooking those into the mix. Again, you're looking to reduce this down and cook for about a further 2 minutes. Now you can see this sauce is really coming together, but it is on the dry side, so what we're going to do is put a little bit more paste in. We're going to put some tomato puree just to deepen the colour. And I'm going to come in with some fresh chopped garlic, because for me a pizza isn't a pizza unless it's got a good garlic hit, and I want that all the way through into the sauce. So I'm going to caramelise some of that tomato puree into this sauce. And then we're just going to add a little touch of water just to bring this all together. There we go. Now you'll see that's still quite a chunky sauce. That's the way I like it. I like my pizza topping nice and rustic. If you wanted a smooth sauce to put on the pizza top, then this could just be put through a liquidizer or a sieve and that will come out smooth, but that's going to have a lot of texture and bite and flavour into it. And so I'm just going to finish that off now. Quite happy with the consistency of that. It's not going to make our pizza base too wet, and we're going to be able to smear that across the top of the pizza and then load it up. Well, we've moved over onto the kitchen table now, transferred our pizza base over. We've got our pizza sauce mix now ready to go on, and we're just going to spread this around. You see it's got lovely big chunks of onion and tomato in this. You're not looking to create a particularly thick layer, you just want to get a bit of that sauce all the way over. If you overload this, it's going to be very difficult to get in and out of the AGA. Staying usually within about a centimetre of the sides. Just make sure we've got a good area of cover with this sauce there. I'm happy with that. We've made enough for another pizza there, but that can be frozen or stored, used another day, or we could be making 2 pizzas. And then you're free to go with your toppings. Now what we're going to do on this, get imaginative. We've got some lovely fresh red peppers, which we're going to scatter over here. You can just put this into quarters or halves, so you could have a vegetarian half, a meat half, a fish half. Use your imaginations, because there is literally very few things that don't go on a pizza. I'm sure people are going to have opinions about that, but to be honest, most things on toast with tomato sauce, salt and pepper tastes pretty good. So I've got mushrooms going on, and I'm going to put a good layer of those on. These haven't been cooked, they're all raw, but we're going to let these cook nicely in the AGA. And then some mozzarella cheese just scattered over. Gives you texture. There's no flavour really in mozzarella, is there? Well, I don't think there is anyway, not that I notice. It's there for the texture rather than anything. So what we're going to do is follow this on with some good mature cheddar to really give it a nice cheesy bite, because that's the way I like it anyway. So we're coming in here with some good grated farmhouse cheddar, which we want to work well over this. The oil's going to come out of the cheddar and almost fry that dough base for you, so it's going to be delicious and crispy. There we go, that's lovely. Now I've got a little bit of goat's cheese here, which I'm just going to put down this end. That's my half, which should be very nice, and a small scattering of olives. And then I think we're going to put some pepperoni on this as well. So here we come in with some pre-cut meat topping, salami, pepperoni, whatever you fancy. Chorizo if you've got it, it could be fried into the onion mix to make you a lovely base. So there, I'm very happy with that. Now we've got to do is transfer this onto the paddle and support it while we move it into the floor of the AGA to cook. So here we go, I've got to try and support this into the AGA. you're absolutely certain you don't burn yourself, and just remove the paddle and try and keep it as flat as you can. There we go. And we'll just roast her in there for around 10 minutes. We'll keep checking it every couple of minutes to make sure we don't overcook it. But let's close the door and get some heat on that and let her cook up. Okay, well, we've given it 10 minutes. We had a look at it and we've judged it needed another 3 minutes. So we've given it a 13-minute bake in total. And I think she is just about ready to come out. So here we go. Mind your head, Ted. That looks absolutely perfectly cooked. Should slip off the baking parchment. And what we hope to have achieved, and it looks perfect, is a crunch, crispy base. Let's just cut you a slice. Get through that end. And there we go. That's what we're looking for, a really crisp base with a lovely crunch to it, beautifully cooked toppings. That's going to be absolutely superb to eat pizza, and we're going to serve that just with a salad. So I hope I've inspired you to get going with your sourdough mixes and to use some of your dough mix to knock up these homemade pizzas, which really are exceptional. So get baking.